Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. So in today's video, guys, I figured we'd go over how to pass or clear the Febian dungeon, which is the first shell dungeon that you're most likely going to be farming, because it is the first time that you have the availability of these epic shells, which can go up from 3 stars, which was capped for the uniques, up to 4 stars. Now, what does that get you? It gets you a lot of stats. So if you see here, this one is unawakened, but on an awakened one, the max speed you can get from this is 30. The attack stat is also pretty nice in the HP. This black flag is also quite good. The attack is a little bit less because it's more of a support shell, more so than this one, which is a damage-dealing shell. But one of the other things that is really nice about these is you have this third passive as well, which is just another layer of that min-maxing that I kind of referenced in yesterday's video. So I know a lot of people have struggled on this dungeon, which I understand. I think this is truly one of the first roadblocks in the game that the developers designed for that reason. But there's also a nice part to this dungeon as well. So there's 2 main bosses, right? You have Phoebe and then you have Febian. So there's 2 different waves. These bosses, they do a couple things. The first boss, what she does is she increases her attack every time that she activates her passive. So at the end of every turn, she's going to increase her attack, so you need to find ways to kill her fast. On top of that, she steals buffs. So if you're trying to go in there and just tank this thing out with a bunch of buffs, defense up, immunity, heal over time, shield, it's not really going to work. If you have enough DPS, it might help keep you alive while your DPS is doing work, but you can't just go like full tank. And then she also has an AoE that also might steal some buffs. So the first boss is pretty straightforward. It's like, okay, she's going to gain a bunch of stacks. On top of that, they do have 2 ads on the side that do additional things, and we'll talk about that in a second. But on the back side, Febian is different. She reduces your speed and reduces your healing. So where Phoebe gains a bunch of buffs, steals buffs, increases her attack, Febian is slowing you down and taking away your heals, as well as putting up some kind of debuffs. So there's a couple things that we're going to be looking for in here, all right? When it comes to team compositions, I kind of mentioned this yesterday, but you're going to want, your typical type of team here, but if you wanted to go more DPS because of the fact that Febian will steal your buffs, maybe you can add 2 damage dealers instead of 1. Thankfully, the game kind of gives you a damage dealer plus a debuffer in Gray. He is an amazing hero in this spot because he puts the defense down on Febian and Phoebe, and he's also a DPS, so he fills 2 roles. The way you would want to build him, and I know my gear, this is the problem with making dungeon guide videos, is depending on where I'm at in my account, like people will be looking at this and they'll say, I can't get that kind of result, which is true, and you're not supposed to. It's more so about the theory. I'm going to try and add in some lower level characters maybe, but when it comes to Gray, I can't revert him back. I can, but I don't want to do that just for this video because I do use him. So Gray is a great buffer and debuffer. Another solid option for debuffing is Dinah. Dinah is a great debuffer. It's a lot of damage amplification coming out of her kit. So putting defense down, erosion, all of those things on the boss is really, really nice. When it comes to some other aspects of this boss that you're going to want to look for, because Phoebe gains additional attack at the end of her turn, you might want to just delay her attack. So you can use some turn meter pushback characters. Characters like Marvel are absolutely great, right? He has turn meter pushback on his skill 3, and he also has speed down. this is going to be awesome for this fight. He does have a higher cooldown, but there's ways to get around this. There's other shells that people might have farmed up before getting into this dungeon, which come from like something like Karuru. You have the ability to put star on your Marvel, which will reduce the cooldown of that big turn meter pushback and speed down. Some other options that you have in regards to that. So we were talking about Gray being a breaker plus DPS. You can also use Dinah as your defense breaker if you don't want to use Gray. Another great option here is Viper. I have to talk about Viper a lot because if you build up Viper for this dungeon, you're going to end up being able to utilize Viper in a couple other dungeons later on. He's very good in Aurora, which is the last module dungeon, and he's really good in Nico Nana, which is the other shell dungeon that you're going to be farming lots. So this is a really good, efficient character to level up. He's similar to Marvel in the fact that he does speed down, but he also does attack down, which helps you survive a little bit more, especially if you're having a hard time surviving this dungeon. That's what I've seen a couple people talk about. But he also dispels. So if Phoebe steals a buff from you, or these ads also give her a buff sometimes too, Viper can remove the buff, which is awesome. So he's a really good support in here. So we'll put in Gray and we'll put in Viper. Now, I know that the other boss reduces healing, right? But you still need a little bit of sustain. Don't let that sway you from bringing in someone who can heal. I think Sonya is a really nice option here. She dispels the freezes that second boss does. So if your damage dealer took a lot of hits or whatever, and he's close to dying or he got frozen, you need one more hit. If Sonya goes, she's going to heal him up and remove that freeze. So that is a big deal. So I think she's a really nice option here. I've talked about Chiaki a lot. I think Chiaki is an amazing healer, but since she's kind of leveled up and got some crazy gear on her, I really don't want to put her in here. Now, for your DPS, a lot of people have Leon as their DPS, and she's going to be fine here. The nice thing with this dungeon is the fact that the bosses are both light and dark. With them being light and dark, you don't have any real, roadblocks in regards to your elements. So if you have a Rosa or a Romoka built up, you can certainly use them. I do want to talk about like best in class characters. I've talked about Freya ad nauseum, same thing with Klaus. Like, if you have these heroes, you should be using them in these spots instead of like a Gray or a Dinah. They're just a better version. Same thing with Heinrich. Heinrich is absolutely amazing as a debuffer and damage amp, and he'll block buffs on these bosses. So if you have him, you can certainly use him. Hellkid is amazing in here as well. He puts up the shields, which could possibly get stolen. But at the same time, he's also a DPS. So he fills a lot of roles. So for this run, maybe we'll use Viper, we'll use Gray as our defense breaker, Marvel, and Sonya. And let's see if we can get the job done, right? Now, my Gray's a bit overpowered, which is difficult, because I know most people are certainly not doing that amount of damage. But if you don't have like a damage dealing Gray, and it's just a support Gray, what you would do here is instead of bringing in Marvel, you're probably going to be bringing in somebody like a damage dealer like Leon, where here you're trying to keep your team healthy, you're trying to eventually whittle down this boss to get to the next stage. And that's what we're trying to do here. So he put up the block buffs. Sadly, our Viper did not dispel that. But Sonya is turn boosting herself. And remember, turn composition is also important here. So he did dispel one buff. And I think we're going to get a chance to kill Phoebe here before she kills us, and we can move on to the next boss here. But Viper has gear, Marvell doesn't really have any gear, and Sonya doesn't really have any gear. So the only one that's kind of carrying us is the Gray, and even then, you know, it's been close. So he's got, you know, some shells on him, which he wouldn't have. But again, I'm trying to hamper this team enough where you get the point. But I have the debuffer going first. I then have Viper going second to do some kind of dispelling. The turn meter pusher, like Marvell, can certainly go at the top of the turn order to give your team a little bit more speed. But the amount of damage mitigation that Viper is bringing, I think, should not go unnoticed. The attack down on this boss is really, really important. And you always want to focus the boss, okay? Here we get that really nice turn meter pushback, and then this is basically a win. So, again, guys, like, I know I have characters that have at least one, you know, one shell on here, like Gray. Gray had a shell that only drops from here, so if you can't farm this yet, you're not going to have it. But the like free-to-play option, or the lesser version of that, is just this agent lizard. It's the same exact thing. So if you put this on your Gray or your damage dealer, you're going to get similar output, just less stats. So what that means, and let's walk through these characters real quick so you get an idea of how these characters are built. So the Gray, yes, you're not going to have these types of gear, okay? But I want to get the message across. If your debuffer is going first, the things that you need to build them with is speed and effect accuracy. That is all you care about. You want some HP and some defense. So if you have like defense modules in here, defense percentage, attack percentage, or whatever, that's important. But effect accuracy on this right side is going to be key. I think if you have the Swift Rush modules on here to get like a 13 plus bonus, you're going to get enough speed out of that and your shell, even if it's a unique shell. Did I still keep that shell? I didn't. I think I got rid of it. Oh, no, here he is. Yeah, so you can have an Agent Lizard. You can roll one of the passives, right, for the Shadow Dash, which is really cheap to roll these passives on unique shells. I've talked about that. So here, this is 23 speed. 23 speed on top of the Swift Rush module set is going to be enough speed for that dungeon, for your debuffer. The same thing goes with Viper. You just want him in speed and high effect accuracy with a little bit of HP and defense. Again, if you don't have this type of gear, which some people might have this type of gear, it's epic and it's unique. The outstandings you won't. But you see, I'm going effect accuracy, because I just want him to land his debuffs. And then I have HP. But there's no speed substats or anything super useful here. The effect accuracy is good, but your effect accuracy does not need to be that high. And Viper is using an epic shell which you guys should have been able to farm up to this point. And this is the shell that reduces the cooldown that you can farm from Kururu, right? So he's getting 10 speed. He's got 30 speed just from this shell. That's awesome. And then he gets a little bit of HP. Now, the Marvell was naked. He had Unbridled Science, which gave him 9 speed, and then he increased his turn meter. And then what do you have here? He had a little bit of attack, defense, and attack. So he had a little bit of effect accuracy and a little bit of speed. So same thing, pushback. You want speed and effect accuracy. You're a healer. You just want HP. That's all you need. High HP. HP percentage here, HP percentage here, HP percentage here. If it's defense percentage, that's okay as long as it is in a matrix that gives you HP percentage. And then your damage dealer is very straightforward. It's really nice to use Gray as your debuffer because Gray's going to add in that crit rate buff. That means you only need 70% crit rate out of your damage dealer. Now, don't use these heroes as an indicator or anything like that, because I've got some crazy gear at this point in my game, in my account. But, you know, building crit rate on your characters over here to make sure that they can hit at least 70% crit rate to take advantage of gray, to really maximize your damage, to not let that fight go too long. That's really, really important. You can't let the fight go too long. So let's talk about some replacement characters real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here because I'm hoping that helped walk you through that. I'll do a quick recap, and then we'll talk about some other replacement characters. So when it comes to buffer and debuffer, your options are gray for sure. The crit rate up and the defense down, that's awesome. He needs crit rate to land his defense down. He needs to crit. If he doesn't apply a crit on the boss, he will not land the defense down. So you have to build him with at least 70% crit rate to make sure that he lands that defense down. So other buffers that you can use in here. Freya, obviously. We've talked about Freya a lot. If you have the ability to like have a Lily on your account, Lily is also fantastic, right? She's a crazy LD. She gives speed up, which is the opposite of like what we would be doing with Marvel. Other buffers that you can use in here. You can certainly use a Rahu. Rahu's a great DPS with a buff of defense. Defense up, that's awesome. He also applies defense down on his skill 1. Other buffers, Chiaki the Echo. She provides turn meter boost and attack up. That's a great complement to your Gray. Gray's crit rate up, and he's defense down. Chiaki is the turn meter boost, so instead of using somebody like Marvel, maybe you're slotting in Chiaki. You also have heroes that debuff like Heinrich. Tiamat is another good buffer. Hellkid's another good buffer. I'd say Yang is a decent buffer. However, I think he's outclassed by Gray, which you already get. Dorothy the Wisher is fine. There's tons of options here. The important part to know is the team composition and the turn order. Debuffer first or buffer. Support, hero next, damage dealer, healer. Anywhere in that range. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys. In regards to the shells, you know, you'll see some of them here. Unbridled Science. This is very easy to farm in the second shell dungeon. Star or Mermaid Princess here. The Purifying debuffs. I have this just on a healer. You don't even need this, but it had Swift Rush and Wellspring, so it's helping you with your matrices. That's another thing you can pay attention to. Viper, he's using this for the Swift Rush and to reduce the cooldowns. All of this stuff is farmable. And again, don't forget about that second passive, trying to get some extra stats out of that. You can also roll crit rate here. If you need the extra crit rate on your Gray, if you need to roll crit rate on the second passive, you can. You can also roll effect accuracy. There's a lot of things that you might be able to sneak out a little bit of stats that you're not even aware of with these shells. So, guys, that's the guide. I hope it helped. I hope walking through that and showing the mechanics, you know, the type of heroes that you really want to look for when it comes to the debuffers, buffers. DPS is very straightforward. You can use literally any DPS in here because it's a neutral affinity. Your healers, Sonya, Ling Luo, if you pulled her early, Chiaki, fantastic. Even Tiamat works as a healer with the heal over time. You also have heroes like, what's her face over here? Valerian. I'm pretty sure if you guys understand the mechanics, you get your team speed tuned correctly, you're going to breeze through it. If you have any questions, leave them below, guys. I really appreciate you checking it out, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.